welcome back everyone to the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite, where it's day 2, chat. That means that we have the semifinals and grand finals going on. The semifinals, we've watched one game so far with 45 minutes on the clock. That means that we have 2 hours and 15 minutes to go before the queue's closed and we find the 50 teams that are going to move forward to the grand finals. I'm your host, Kelly Link, and of course we still got Sancho West and Levin2K calling all of the action here for the semifinals. And we're going to be pulling up the highlights, gentlemen, so take it away.
Wow, Levin, what a great start to the day. And we're already seeing some really high quality duo competition here, even though this is semifinals. And you already know, opens to semis are traditionally basically the same, but we saw a little bit of a stacker there in our game that we casted.
Yeah, I hope to see, more, of that level of play, right? We saw some great play. And I think with how stacked the lobbies were, the kind of small mistakes that you often see were kind of exposed there, right? Obviously, we take a look at the leaderboard now. CR and Wolfies sitting on top, and Alex and Nate, Milan and Chapix, some key names in the EU community here sitting in the top 3 so far.
I agree.
Even going all the way down to 10th place there, you got Janice and Reason, the players that just got their Victory Royale. Lusha and Omega are currently sitting in 16th place, and all the way down into some of the biggest names, Sancho.
Yeah, and Kelly, it's only the top 50 advance to the grand finals. And one thing about Wolfies and CRR, they were a big surprise in the FNCS trios, of course, trioing up with Kenzel. And Kenzel is just the same kind of situation that Tayson was with Mongro and Mitra. And to see Wolfies and CRR to be able to be at #1 shows they learned some things from Kenzel, and they're doing really strong. And now here's the cutoff. Like I mentioned, only the top 50 advance, and sitting so close, one of the names that I see is Raxor and Artor. They're already had a great performance in FNCS trios as well, and for them to be on the cusp, but hey, it's very early, Levin. No panic button, no emergency meeting yet to be called here.
Yeah, not at all. I think, it is just the first game. You never want to get too excited about what happens after that. It's about finding some consistency, finding some form, and really, start to pick things up if you did start off slowly.
We got some other big names as well that are qualifying through that we couldn't see up on our leaderboards right now. Rokane and Gandhi are qualifying right now. Refsguard and Scram, Demon Drip and Wamba Bamba, the first place through the second heat, and Flick and Anas as well. But this is still the first third of the competition, not even, guys. We're going to be seeing a lot of changes on the leaderboard in the next 2 hours or so. But I do want to talk about a team what team do you want to watch? What team do you hope that we jump into, Levin, in this next game?
Well, team that actually I'm really excited to see how they do is Noah Riley and Vidil. Really aggressive. And so I want to see if they're kind of continuing that today, or if they decide to kind of slow things down. Knowing them, they've not, slowed things down, but entertaining Fortnite. So who cares, right? So let's see, maybe.
Whew. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Now that we say that we saw a lot of names in our top 50, I'm actually seeing a lot of names not in our top 50 as well. Jamper isn't qualifying with Ave as well. There's Kenzel and Godset Wigney are in 72nd place. So a lot of these teams are going to have to shake up how they're playing right now if they want to qualify into the grand finals, because just as you said, only 50 teams are going to be qualifying through. And it looks like we have game ready to go, gentlemen. So I'm going to be going off, and I'm going to let you two take it away.
All right, Kelly said it. Only 50 duos advance, Levin, and some of the big names are on the outside looking in, but it's very early. They have 10 matches to work with, and you know how it goes. Sometimes you got a W key game, but no doubt, most of the ones of the big names wanted to have a strong start, just like Wolfies and CRR with a phenomenal start. But hey, just to give you an idea, that was 2 games in. So Chapitz and Milan, they got into that second place with only 1 game in, with a 12 elim and a Victory Royale.
Yeah, so they have a game in hand, and it's like, you can expect to see them, kind of take advantage of that. Once again, like the early standings, you never want to get too, crazy about. Once it starts to get to, like your 3rd, 4th, 5th game, then maybe you can start to hit that panic button if need be, right? You can see here, I move over towards Kai, Ultimo, and Luke. And Kai's an interesting drop, right? Obviously, who was a favored drop at one point in this chapter, obviously with the removal of the vault and the mythical items that came with the spot, did kind of fall out of favor. But still a drop that, a lot of teams do opt to land over towards. And we'll see here how this one plays out, because Jordan is going to be left alone, hiding in what was once a very rich vote. Now just left with his blood all over.
That's going to be that engagement wrapped up. We did see CRR and Wolfies land down in the Slurp Factory, so we're going to keep an eye on them. They're currently on top of the board in the semifinals. Tiago and Phoenix are going to have a battle for themselves. It's up to Phoenix to hold on for the pressure from Jugs here. Jugs with a grid strong here, and Phoenix is now down without shields. It's a classic 1v1 as San Andreas. Ooh, there goes Jugs. It's gonna get a little bit more siphon. I like this battle here. It's a matter of it's like pistols, man. Now we're gonna go down to pickaxe. It's gonna get hype here. Pistol fire. It's like a John Woo flick unfolding right before us. And Phoenix is able to hold on for his partner mate Tiago, and that's a good start. Those are the kind of games that you want. Not only that, he gets those valuable storm tags as you see him defeat. Yanis is here and Reason, and we kind of touched on that. Reason and you know, they have something to prove, you know, considering that they weren't unable to compete in the FNCS Trios Grand Finals. I think Reason is one of those players, as we see Reason able to pick up an Elim. It's going to be exciting to see if he can walk away with a duo championship. And some nice tracking from Storms, gets himself a knock right then and there.
Most definitely. Reason and Janice are someone who you have to consider them. For any sort of competition, their names have to be thrown into that pool of players who you can expect to win. And obviously they had, you know, some great form last season. Obviously some unfortunate circumstances meant that they weren't able to compete. And yeah, I definitely think that they will have that kind of hunger coming into today, looking to really compete and really pick up a good result.
Yanis, of course, being the FNCS solo champion, coming out of Born from Steamy Stacks. There's something about Steamy Stacks for solos that work really well, and I remember when I was picking the trio that landed in Steamy Stacks, Shia Wager was like, no trio does well out of Steamy Stacks, and lo and behold, the trio did pretty decently landing there. I think it was, I'm trying to remember what team that did land there. I think it was the second place. I have to double check all that, but Shia Wager and Baller TW will be calling the grand champions, and it's so exciting to see that cast duo work it up together again. And it'll be interesting to see what Baller thinks about the duo meta that will be unfolding as this engagement unfolds here in the Holly Hedges. These are all important as Matzo and Robin here with 46 points, a decent start here. Again, the top 50 advance, and we'll keep an eye on that threshold as it keeps going higher and higher, and they clean up this engagement here, Levin.
Yeah, just some basic Fortnite mechanics there to clean that one out, right? Taking advantage of a right-hand peek. Maybe get an example of that again here is he's left to fend off for himself, 1v2 situation now. His teammate goes down. He does have the control of the height, but definitely does not have the control of the pacing of this fight, right? The guys below really are controlling everything. It's going to be important that they don't fall into the trap of taking 1v1s with him. Obviously, DFabs and Reet, very well versed in the fighting department, and I'm sure they'll be able to clean this one out quickly. You see how they're pinching him from different angles here. He hits some nice shots, but it's not going to matter because they ultimately clean that one up. And look, Reet and DFabs.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Dude, look at this lobby. We have Wolfies and CRR and Re and DFabs in the same lobby. Talking about one of the world's aggressive players in one, and of course NA West, the only NA West duo in this fight. It's so exciting to see how they go as Milan actually gets knocked by Addy. Zani. Wow, Chapix here. This is the team that's currently in second place on top of the board. So many big names already colliding, just showing you how much of the stacked duos that we're seeing here, as we've seen the dual media duo as well in the feed. So whoever walks away with a victory royale is gonna have to be really good going through the semifinals, knowing that they got a victory royale with some of the big names in this lobby. And now Chapix, and even though he's a solo, like I mentioned, you're gonna see some solo clutches. It's gonna be a lot easier to do than going up against a trio. So let's see if Chapix could clutch out here to hopefully pick up that reboot for Milan. And adding Zani here. Hey, you gotta know who you're fighting, right? You knock one of the duo mates, you know you're fighting Chapix.
Yeah, I think it's great work here from Zoni and AD to kind of slow this fight down, right? Chapix was, you know, kind of putting the works onto them, applying a bunch of pressure. And ultimately, it was actually causing them a lot of problems. By slowing it down, they kind of recontrol the fight. And Chapix knows that, and he has no choice but to just kind of leave things alone. If you're fighting two kind of, you know, really reset players, it becomes a lot harder, right? He knows one has to heal, so he's kind of force 1v1s. You have a chance that way. So good on them for, you know, playing it the right way, not getting in over their heads. Chapik's gonna have to fall away, and obviously, like you said, he's in second place, and now gonna have to try and make something of this game, try pick up any points he can. Flecken goes down in the kill feed. Look, like you said, there's a bunch of names in this lobby who are all, you know, quote-unquote contenders, and so it'll be interesting to see, right? Because I think a lot of players are still in that kind of W key mentality of yesterday, where it's like, hey, there's no kill cap, hey, let's frag out. Whereas, you know, you have to understand, there are a lot of good players in this lobby now. You have to maybe start respecting the lobby a bit and really starting to figure out how you're going to play this game in terms of rotations and things of that nature, because you can't continue to just keep on mindlessly W keying and expect to get a good result out of that.
To bring back a point of the team that landed in Steamy Stacks, it was when one of the heats, it was actually Vidil, Fasroki, and Kylie that did really well coming into it. Didn't have a strong performance in the Grand Championships, but we're catching back up to the Chapix hold as he almost disengaged fully, but Zani and Addy, we're not gonna let this one go. When you have a top duo mate, a solo now, on the ropes, you're gonna have to go for the knockout. A very expensive knockout, but this is going to be something that's going to look good going forward. And you're seeing how dangerous Chapix can be with the big 2 bops, and down you go. And now it's a sticky situation. The investment got real, and things are getting real. And you know when they get real, you get a little bit nervous. And Addy now, he's going to have to think about, should I use these shockwaves? Because Chapix now is out for vengeance. And you know Chapix, no doubt, was able to get Milan's card. So now this is all good. And this is what happens when you poke the bear, 11. All of a sudden, that bear is going to wake up and fight back.
Yeah, and some great mechanics here from Chapix, just really looking to gain any sort of control, posturing this fight completely in his favor. Takes out Zorni, like, completely wipes him out of the lobby, right? Gets all control of his walls and really gets up in his face and hits the shot to really take him out of the game. And now just connects him with a shot onto AD.
Wow.
And that 2v1 there is just purely, you know, world class. That's why Chapix is considered one of the better players in EU, and what a great showing from him so far. Looking to really revive this game. Gonna obviously look to try pick up his teammate as well, and what a great start to the day for Chapix in Milan.
Levin, did he pickaxe Addy? I think he did. I think Addy was phasing through that reverse cone, and I think he got hit in the shins. I don't know, man, but that was nasty. That was a clutch moment. Those are the clutch moments I expect to see. And like I mentioned, it's a little bit easier to do that in the early to mid game. The only difficulty in the duos, as you see Wolfies and CRR, might be in danger of an ambush here. Here it goes. Then we're going to have a classic build up here in the Slippery Swamps. Build for hype, but Wolfies and CRR, so far, they're going for it. CRR now has height control here, and we already saw Phoenix and Tiago have an engagement here, so this is going to be something they have to survive, and no, they're not going to survive this great push from CRR. CRR gets the confirmation on Phoenix. Now it's going to be Wolfies. Yes, Wolfies cleans up on Tiago, and like I mentioned, man, you're going to see this aggressive team, Wolfies and CRR. Now, hey, man, you know what's interesting as well, Levin? I got to point this out. Number 1 and number 2 in this game, right here, right now. And we already saw Chapix clutch out. Wolfies and CR looking a lot stronger at the moment than Chapix and Milan.
Yeah, and they do a great job there of forcing an inbox fight, right? When it comes to just having a player in your 1v1, you don't want CR and Wolfies, right? 2 prominent fragging controller players who are really going to, you know, make things difficult for you if they're in your 1v1. And so doing a great job to kind of get up in their faces and force them to really have some sort of an engagement there and winning that one out. Already staying on 4 eliminations this game. These guys are definitely still in that W key mentality, but I think they're playing into their strengths, right? This is what they are capable of. We've seen, especially Wolfies, have success playing this way in the past. And so to see the 2 of these guys really coming together, they obviously have a great personal relationship as well, something I've been able to witness, you know, for myself. And I think the chemistry between these 2 is great. They really have an understanding of each other, not just as players, but as people. And so moving forward, you know, we can potentially expect some decent results from these guys, and already starting off really well today so far.
A team that is not going to start out so well in this match. We just saw in the Elim feed, it's Reet and DFabs, who I think what they're banking on as much as possible is they're trying to bank on an early engagements and try to rack up elims, and hopefully that's going to be enough. But we have been seeing in the heats and now in the semis, you're going to have to get placement points as well. You cannot just do all the early work and hopefully get into the next stage, and that is the grand finals that we see Waves Giannis there picking up a knock and a elim in the feed. So for all those people that were kind of talking about what was going down, at the end of the day, Levin, you need placement points to kind of give you that boost. Just W keying for early and mid engagements is not going to be enough.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that is typically always the case.
Right.
My main concern is if these guys will understand and know when to turn that switch off. It's definitely been a weakness for both of them in the past, right? If you look back at Wolfies as a solo player, right, historically, there were times when he'd go off with frags but wouldn't understand necessarily when to kind of turn on the end game switch, right, and really focus his play on end game. CRR, right, if you date back and look at squads, right, his squad, Kinzel, Mitro, Falconly, they were an amazing W King squad. Didn't understand when to really focus it up and decide to play for end game. And we could potentially see the same thing happen for these guys in duos, right? They're having an amazing time W King, but will they understand when it is time to focus on placement?
Dude, that was really cool. It looked like they parked the Whiplash inside the tunnel. I hope that was on purpose to save that rotation, but you're right. I think what's going to be interesting as well, that now this is going to be the most aggressive third party you've ever seen. And hello, knocking on your door is CRR Wolfies, taking that barrel stuff mentality. But now I've seen CR do this before. When he gets bopped right back, just like one of those clown toys, he's going to bop right back and go back into this fight. And that's going to be an opportunity, though, for CR to get a lot of loot and already 5 elims. So walking away with 25 points. Again, top 25, that's when placement points start being doled out. But I have to point this out. You mentioned Kinzel. Kinzel did trio up with them in the FNCS trios. And I think a little bit of that in-game leadership, maybe that, like you mentioned with Shayo yesterday in Heat 1, that Fortnite wisdom may have rubbed off them. And I think we're seeing that a lot with the aggressive players throughout the world, with the Wolfies, the Unknowns, the Clicks. Once they kind of partner up or squad up with another in-game leader like a Bizzle or like a Tayson in Mongro's and Mitro's taste, maybe they learn a little bit of that wisdom. Now, the question would be, Levin, is that wisdom going to be second nature? Because everything that Wolfies and CR are doing mechanically, that's all instinct. But will the rotations be second nature going forward? That's what we're going to have to watch throughout the entire semifinals and hopefully the grand finals here in the DreamHack duos.
Yeah, and as you can see here on your screen, on the replay, Janice picking up a nice note. I can see Reason and Janice getting busy in the kill feed, and so it's good to see what's really going on here. Over towards Sweaty Sands, they are putting on a show, really, already with 5 eliminations to their name at the least, right? That may have changed by now, that may have updated, and those two are... It's interesting, right? Because typically, right, if you maybe look at Janice as a solo player, he is not a W keyer by any means, right? Somebody who likes to play things more passively. Reason is somebody who, is he can be a prominent solo player, kind of like a mix of the two, understands when to switch it on and off. And so to see the two of these guys kind of really coming out and W keying in the way they have been of late, it kind of shows like their confidence levels right now. I think they are feeling kind of on top of the world in that sense, and really looking to really come out and just show what they can do.
Taking a look at the projections from Kinch Analytics, he's saying the best guess is 335 will be the threshold. Now that's going to be something that's going to be very volatile, considering that it all depends on how aggressive the lobbies will be. And that aggression did change a little bit of the projection. So the likely range is 320 and 350 for all the ones at home. And if you do the math, that's about halfway for Wolfies and CRR. And they only put a couple of games in. So this is going to be their third game that they have here, as we see Aztec Kiku in this lobby. And they did pick up a victory royale in the semifinal stage here for DreamHack. Now the question is, who's going to get the victory royale here as we're getting closer and closer to the 4th zone? And your first time watching Fortnite competitive, which most likely it's not if you're watching DreamHack, you know what's up. But zones 1 through 4, the zones are going to be a little bit more centralized. And then 5th zone is going to be a half in and half out, half in the safe side, half in storm. And 6, 7, 8, and 9 will be rotations. And so far, this lobby right here as well, another thing to point out, Storm Surge, not really a factor. Very aggressive lobbies, and you can kind of agree with that too with the aggressive play. Did they just throw a crash pad in there to bop that guy out? And just like some skeet shooting? Wolfie CRR, you're a different kind of beast, sir.
No, that's something I've seen here and there, but for them to whip that out now on this stage it's nasty. It's a tell. It honestly is just a tell of how they are feeling about themselves right now. That is a cheeky play to make, and for them to make it and pull it off the way they did, incredibly impressive. And if we could see more of those, that would be hilarious.
Man, talk about being on top of the leaderboard with style. And we all know, that was a risky play. Crash pads are a lot valuable for that. But, that's a highlight. That's one of those clip moments. That's the one you post on social media. That's the one you let people know that you're not to be messed around. And you don't want to be on the other end of that, because we all know the Fortnite pro player, their mental always gets tested. And now you're seeing Wolfies and CR just taking all that extra material and creating so much real estate. And they're going to go ahead and old school build their way in. And there they go, going back to the leftovers right then and there. And so that's some stuff, man. That's some stuff that you're seeing. I think what's exciting as well, Levin, is seeing that the trio meta kind of like osmosis or meld into the duo meta. So it's be really exciting to see. As you see, Mago and Mitro got a victory royale in another lobby. So a lot of people in the chat, no doubt, asking about the Eminem boys, and they're doing really well already.
Yeah, it's going to be good that they start off hot. In terms of meta stuff, I think we'll start to see more towards the grand finals, especially. But there are some key areas where I think players are potentially making some mistakes. I think yesterday, we saw some teams, trying to take height, earlier in the move and zone cycle, right? Which is something that in trios is effective. It's something that you want to do. Is that something that's, I believe, is necessarily going to be the same in duos? No.
Right.
And so if teams can, kind of remember that, there is a kind of trial and error that comes to things. The teams that can adjust and really start to figure these things off the bat are going to be the most effective ones. And there are some teams who are just going to be focusing on things that used to work for them in previous duo metas and see if those things do apply. So it'll be interesting to see. I definitely think there are some parallels between, any game mode that you play, but most definitely we will see some change as well. Wolfies adding onto the elimination count as well. You just saw there. It's not stopping as well. When you look at the kill feed, all I'm seeing is Reason and Janice nonstop. I wonder how many eliminations they're at right now. It's getting crazy, the amount of people, the amount of top tier names who we're seeing going in. Janice goes down. Oh no.
The caster's curse is real, but what is also real is this rotation. Wolfie CR, they're going to get just to the front side. They got to build a little bit just to get in, and they're going to decide to go against Kiku. Kiku and Deadside in that replay were able to break someone underneath, and they got some nice beams on their opponents here. But Wolfies and CRR is the team that we're on board with right now. They are currently at #1 on the semifinals leaderboard at this moment with 7 elims, and we already saw Janice go down the feed, but Reason is still up, and he's still cracking. Gets himself an elim right here. CRR Wolfies now are going to turn and burn, looking in the backside of the storm, looking for people struggling, looking for any fresh builds to take advantage of. No beams yet, kind of granted, but Deadside does pick up another elim in the feed. So Kiko and Deadside at height just above Wolfies and CRR. And now you're taking a look here. We are about 40 players left, 22 duos up. At the same time, we haven't mentioned, Levin, sometimes a solo player could take up a spot, because as of now, placement points are being doled up, but they could be those solo stars right in the way to getting those more valuable placement points.
Most definitely. And Wolfies and CR continue to just kind of prime themselves into this position where, they want to pre-gear towards height, right? They have this kind of nice elevated layer where they're able to look for picks. The angle potential is really high. The zone now seems to favor them as well. So, making their lives a lot easier, I think they have the potential to pick up way more eliminations than they already have.
And it would be something set to pick up so many elims in a feed that has so many superstars that are on the leaderboard, so many teams that already got victory royales in the semifinals. It looks like Janus is back on their feet, and you're seeing Deadson and Kiko actually building up for height here on that rotation, and that is where the Storm is going. So they have this crazy height play, but as you mentioned, is that investment going so early going to cause their downfall as duos are trying to figure out when is the perfect time? You see the NAE scene of Nano and Fernando at the low ground sitting on zone priority. I got to throw in those X's hard, brother. You know what I'm saying? Reason is still cooking in the feed. Artur is cooking in the feed. But now we're still watching Wolfies and CRR. 11, you said they could rack up some more. They get some nice tags on dead side. That's going to be a good sign to push Kiko and dead side there.
Yeah, and you saw so many players just starting to make their rotations, and the dead side teams licking their lips. They got their rotations caught absolutely free there, but in all the chaos of the rotations, Reason was still able to pick up many eliminations. Wolfies and CRR now finally starting to move on as it goes. They're going to look to drop down as well now. CRR leading the charge, leaving Mr. Beam himself to look for anything he can possibly get, looking to open up these edits and try to find something. Not many angles there available, but they've got to be careful of this team below them.
Definitely have to be careful as the EU region likes to go for height with a shockwave or crash pad. Wolfies and CRR don't really hold it yet. They're on a very chaotic layer as CRR is trading blows and he takes out Zappy. Michael goes down. That duo is done. CRR gets credit to Zappy's elim. Now they split up and this is the chaos that happens. And hey, as a duo, Wolfies and CRR, if they split up, they could definitely solo star it out. Now Wolfies with the outside rotation with an open face one looking really solid as Wolfies and CRR do come back together again. CRR and Wolfies with 8 elims, but let's take a look at the overall story here. Nano is still going, so hey, NAE's representing in this match, Levin.
Yeah, and Nano's gonna have to do his best to try to stay alive there on the low ground. We know he can thrive there. He's done so in this region many a time. But back over to CR and Wolfies, who are sitting at 10 eliminations, looking for even more, right? 2 more eliminations would equate the amount it gets you for a victory royale alone. So this is already shaping up to be an amazing game for these guys. Looking to pick up even more. Mr. Beam looking to hit some shots. CR hitting a nice pump himself. Not able to materialize into a kill, but there's still hope, right, as they can continue to move forward to this front side of the zone. Wolfie's now leading the charge on the top, and not something we see often, but we know why. He wants to take high ground, knocking it out there and looking to reach up and take it, and he does. Hits a perfect shot onto the player down below, and now he just needs to finish that one up. I believe he will. Yes, he does. And now they have the high ground for themselves.
Here we go. Wolfies and CRR are trying to close out this lobby that's been full of big names, but we're seeing big plays. Roxo and Artur, another big duo here in this fight. It's a classic 2v2v2. Wolfies and CRR have so much momentum and so much power. It is a top 4 situation. Roxo gets tagged. Wolfies is looking really good. Roxo is trying to hold on as much as possible. Some big beams are coming through. Roxo goes on. CRR gets Miles, and now Wolfies and CRR have an opportunity to get the victory royale. Here we go. Turkey now is just some bait right now for some beasts in this duo lobby. It is DreamHack, baby, and Mr. Beams will find the dreams, and it's just a matter of moments. What a big pop-off game. It's just the last throws. They lose height for a temporary moment, but CRR has Turkey in his sights. Wolfies on the low ground, and CRR with the edit down, 99. Wolfies with that edit down, and there it is. The victory royale, and what a great game 2 that we just witnessed. The top of the board, the eat is on, the feast is on, Levin.
And with that, I'm telling you, the UK boys are on top right now. Guys, we will be back right after this break.